Very good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries, faculty members, and participants. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to session 2 of day 9 of the 2-week faculty development program titled Transformative Learning through Interdisciplinary AI and ML Applications in Emerging Domains. This program is organized by the Department of Computer Applications under the aegis of the Human Resource Development Center. We are honored to have our esteemed speaker, Dr. Mohammed Siddique, Senior Fellow of Advanced Higher Education, United Kingdom, is currently working as head of registry at Majan University College. He has over 21 years of academic and industry experience across Oman, South Korea, and India. He has contributed to the development of large-scale IT applications and is actively involved in research in the area of image processing, artificial intelligence, and data science. In today's session is on AI in strategy development for various educational resources. With this, I request Dr. Mohammed Siddique sir to kindly take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Astha. It's indeed my pleasure to be here. And Astha has introduced, I am not new to Integral University. So first of all, let me say thank you to the university for providing me another opportunity to present and share my experiences on this. I will share my screen. I have a slide. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So yes, this is a very interesting topic under the transformative learning through interdisciplinary AI and ML applications in emerging domains. So my discussion today would be on AI in strategy development for various educational resources. So as we all know that the rapid advancement of AI is reshaping the higher education institutions by, for example, positioning human and digital, infrastructural, as well as financial resources at the center of any higher education's institutional strategy. So the strategic planning itself, the whole process itself is shifting from just being a reactive model to now AI-based informative and predictive model. For this is very much important for effective decision making. So with the synthesized data, for example, through any student information systems and the learning management systems, it could be Moodle or things like that, which are being used by the institutions for supporting and for educational resources, AI can help separate these all silo data into kind of a unified solution, which can provide holistic insights, for example, and wherein KPIs can be generated. Of course, it all includes because it has to focus on themes such as student success and the research output, whether it could be through students or faculty or by both of them. So the idea here is to look at the resources and then also focus a little bit kind of on applications of AI. So we all know throughout the years that the traditional educational resources have always been kind of textbooks or printed material like worksheets, handouts, and study guides, complementary textbooks, kind of things, which reinforces the learning process and also the classroom resources. It also used to be always focused on the multimedia educational resources as well, such as videos or podcasts and kind of interactive tools. This is what we have been going through for over a period. But with the invent of AI being part, or applications of AI being part of HEIs, with these required resources, of course, has enabled the institutions to have kind of look at it like an optimized faculty load scheduling, forecasting the course requirements and demands. This also helps in understanding improved learning outcomes and increased accessibility to these resources by the students, for example. So the budget planning also is kind of very important because as we define on our educational resources, we also look at how they are being decided from the beginning of process, like periodic review of the curriculum itself, which addresses the skills gap in the industry. This also is now driven through AI, especially through the predictive analysis. So the strategic alignment is very important in here, so that the AI-driven predictive analytics plays a role in understanding the educational resources. So while AI is offering a significant, or I would say strategic foresight, and especially towards the sustainable growth, the higher education institutions, for example, should focus on the actual required resources, as well as, I think, critical challenges, such as if they're using the AI for data-driven decision making, for example. So challenges such as data privacy or bias predictive processes, and then the faculty is professional development itself. There are many different tools, of course, tools and softwares that can help in operational efficiency and continuous process and things like that. But it is always good to empower the faculties with, for example, training on powerful tools like Power BI or Tableau. And nowadays, as we all know, especially me being from IT background, I would say TensorFlow, for example, to adapt the AI-driven technologies. So it all supports data-driven institutional management. So it's not just the management, AI-driven institutional management or for operational excellence. This helps getting us align us with the themes like innovation, excellence, and transformation into the HEI. Some of the data sources, I believe, in higher education through which these all strategies can be performed, or student information system. Largely, I would say it's the most important focus, because it gives us it gives us information to understand the educational resources in terms of its student profile, students data. It includes the students, I would say, detailed profiling, like what award they are in, what program they are studying, what are the subjects they are studying, whether those subjects are technical in nature or theoretical in nature, and how we could help them in accessibility of these resources. So that incorporation of resources in their daily routine is very important, and all this is can be inferred or connected through student information system. Uh, I will talk more about it in a while, but also the learning management system. So one of the most popular one is a Moodle. So learning management system is also, I mean, having kind of the program specific subjects. So it has the modules or subjects. We call it as module here in UK language. So modules and subjects and the resources that it might require, the assessment strategies it might have, the learning resources. It could be reading list, it could be online ebooks, or it could be the real physical copy of books, kind of things. Nowadays, the library is equipped with both ebooks and hard copy books. In addition to that, with having AI being included into this stream as well, it has intelligent digital libraries and repositories. So all AI is getting integrated through data silos into a unified insight. So in fact, in my current institution where I'm working now, we are now working on centralizing the whole data repository itself, so that it can drive us and support in student success. So it could be LMS system, it could be SIS system, it could be HR related information, it could be their non-academic related information. So all of this being integrated into a centralized system, and it's managed by the central data office. So I am leading that department, for example, so integrate all of this and generate AI insights for for informed decision making for the HEI. So all these AI applications in terms of resource strategy has to be having an optimized faculty load and scheduling. So you know if these are resources, these are educational resources. It could be the learning resources, it could be faculties, expertise, their load, their scheduling, forecasting the program demands. So for example, there is a program on oil and gas here. So if it is an oil and gas program, what are the resources we need? We have an oil and gas equipped laboratory with high-end SCADA machines, industrial data machines, or industrial data network devices, and things like that. So all of these are being understood from the beginning, and we deploy them for the students. And it also helps us in analyzing and understanding the performance trends and links it with the required budget planning. So we have annual budget plans. So budget planning also is driven through AI using the predictive analytics. In terms of adapting the content recommendation is very important. The faculty developments insights are very important. So faculties are trained, they're equipped with state-of-the-art knowledge, technical skills, and things that are happening as per the industry trends. And curriculum updates via skills demand analysis. It's a very major project as far as I'm aware of it. So it doesn't happen just only towards like periodic review, which happens maybe 3 years or 5 years. So here in Oman, we do that every 5 years. So we have a periodic review of curriculum itself, but it doesn't stop us from looking at the industry demands. We need to understand the skill sets or skill gaps that our graduates might require. So that is very important. You need to understand the trends going on. For example, the advent of AI. Now, AI fits in everywhere. So it could be an IT program, it could be IT, our business program even, or even to the extent that if we have English program. So AI fits in somewhere and somehow, and it largely connects to the HEI's strategy itself. In fact, the Ministry of Higher Education here, they all want to have AI, for example, a subject in as part of all of the programs. When we say program here, I'm referring to the degree itself, okay? So it could be bachelor, it could be master's. And then further having advanced tools like chatbots for student advising and their support for them to understand. So this all benefits a lot. In terms of a strategy framework, I believe that AI strategic cycle should have these 5 different things that should be addressed. Initially, it starts with the institutional data itself. So like I was referring earlier, there is a student data, there is a staff data, there is a resources information, and there is ongoing processes or change of status of information. It could be HR information, it could be financial information. So we need to collect institutional data and analyze it by using AI. So it could be machine learning models that could be used to analyze this data and understand the trends and requirements of what kind of resources are required for the HEI. We can predict outcomes and the risks involved into this. And we can also understand the role of AI in educational strategy by planning kind of strategic actions into it. For example, so AI can always enable the HEIs to move from kind of intuition-based planning, intuition like we are predicting on analyzing on your own rather than data-driven. So from that, move towards evidence-based driven strategy. It can happen through forecasting demands, optimizing the utilization strategy of your resources, and again, kind of continuously improve these educational resources. So there is a review on evaluation of impact. So all in all, this is kind of an ADRI approach. So you have like approach, You collect, you implement, you analyze, you deploy, and then look at the results and try to see the improvement. So the whole cycle, ADRI cycle, has to be implemented into this. Some examples could be like predict enrollment declines and resource allocation. So faculties could understand in terms of understanding the resource reallocation for next academic year, next academic semester. So we need to understand the enrollment processes, the admission processes, in terms of three important points. One, the current number of students, for example, in the faculty or in the institution. Then the trends going on in terms of industry trends, in terms of the market demands, and also predicting the numbers based on the kind of workload you have, curriculum needs you have, and kind of strategic hiring you will make, and other kind of decision making. So you need to understand and then deploy. The second thing is identify the faculty training needs. So if the faculties are not trained enough on AI needs for the higher education institution, then it really works negatively. So you need to have a strong governance and kind of accountability framework in the institution. So the decisions can be made transparent, it could be fair, and it could be aligned with the actual institutional values itself. So that is why I would believe that the strong governance and accountability is very important. And to support that, I mean, to support the, for example, senior management to understand the trends, to understand the requirements, to understand or allocate the resources, there should be smart dashboards guiding these decisions. So one of the example is guiding the curriculum decisions. And like I told you earlier, there are several tools. There are several tools nowadays. Even the Chat GPT or kind of different AI tools nowadays can support us in this way. But some established ones with AI integration, with AI agents like Power BI, Tableau, or TensorFlow are very useful. Even RapidMiner, IBM SPSS modeler, and also AI assistance for scheduling and advising is also possible. So that is a real or useful, I think, kind of strategy to implement. Somehow, while AI is offering a significant, I would say, strategic foresight and sustainable growth, the HEIs should also focus on the required resources and challenges. I told you a little bit earlier, like data privacy and accessibility to it to ensure there is a kind of security, and then in kind of predictive analysis, not to be biased, and then help everyone to foster this culture of I would say transformative learning in the HEI. So this is sorry. So you need to understand how there could be a sustained information flow within the organization for a sustainable growth. So that is very important. So it has to be a transparent governance and access to key information for the senior management and the faculties based on their roles and positions. Some of the challenges, like I said, already discussed about it, can be addressed, but there is a very important skills gap, which is very important among the staff to be identified and help them overcome. So the HEIs should push them in terms of addressing the skills gap they have, train them through professional development programs, for example, and help them to understand the systems, to understand how they could contribute to the programs, the curriculum, and help students achieve their goals and success. So it is very important to have it. Of course, I would use or I would emphasize on the word ethical AI. So nowadays, AI is everything. Artificial intelligence can do a lot of things for us, but we also need to understand the ethical use of AI. Most of the institutions nowadays, since past 2-3 years, have adopted to their own AI guidelines, which should address kind of transparency and have good values among their staff and their students. So it's very important to have through this. It's a very big topic in itself, but we could discuss it sometime else. But ethical use of AI is very important for the HEIs, and it really helps them to foster, transformative learning, help students in terms of being a good global citizen. In terms of the transformative learning perspective, I would believe that AI fosters adaptive and reflective learning. In fact, a recent article which I have worked, and it is due to publish this month, with Advanced HE of UK, is working on reflective practices. So as a faculty, as a lecturer, as a professor in the classroom, what do I teach? What do I know about the subjects or curriculum? Or how would I help institutional strategy in terms of acquiring enough educational resources is very much depends on our reflective practices. So I really believe in encouraging kind of reflecting on yourself, on your practice, on your professional development, your decision making, balancing your workload, contribute towards advanced tools and technologies, I would say. So somehow kind of be institutional leader for making kind of good decision making. So you need to reflect on these practices. Or this is also triggering things such as sharing good practices between different faculties, different staff, and understanding on the way forward. It encourages interdisciplinary collaboration. You get people working together. It could be within the institution. It could be between different institutions. You understand and also you understand the requirement. You understand the trends. You understand the tools, technologies happening, and how it could upskill your own knowledge and skill that can contribute to the higher education institution. Third thing is promote evidence-based strategic culture. So if you talk things in the HEI in your institution, talk based on evidence, and that is driven by the data. So you talk about the data, you talk about evidence-based strategic decisions. So that could be a culture within the organization. So you understand how it works and build a very future-ready ecosystem. In fact, I would say there are four different, I would say, roles or responsibilities. For example, one, a role of AI in educational resource strategy. So AI can enable HEIs to move from institutional-based planning to evidence-based, data-driven strategy, like I said, which can help them in forecasting the demands, optimize utilization of the resources, and continuously improving the educational resources and their demands in the faculty. Number two, using AI in faculty resource optimization. So how optimize you could have your faculty's workload and balance it, mapping the expertise, because every faculty has different expertise. So map these expertise to the curriculum needs and then guide the kind of strategic, I would say, hiring to get new staff with that particular expertise into it. And then further continue the process of professional development and kind of that can help them in decision making. Number three is governance and ethics. Like I earlier told about the two different points, AI-driven decisions should be transparent. They should be kind of fair, and they should kind of align with the institutional values. So every institution has their own vision, mission, themes, and values. So they have to be aligned with the institutional values. Of course, the governance is based on the mission and vision and themes of the institution. Themes could be financial resilience, or it could be student success. It could be on It could be on, for example, research and teaching innovation and things like that. So, but the values are very important. The core values of institution are very important. That has to be aligned with the ethics, which I'm referring to. It could be honesty, it could be excellence, it could be integrity. So all these professional ethics links themselves based on the institutional values that HEI has defined. And that should be kind of strongly supported by a strong governance. So you should have a strong leadership. So I would say the last point, very important point on this area is leadership. So if you're talking about leadership takeaways, educational resources, which is our topic today, should be treated as kind of strategic assets. Okay, so education resources are strategic assets. This is very clear, very important. But with AI, which acting as a decision support system for the institutional leaders, which I'm referring to, can help them rather than just replacing kind of human judgment. So you depend on the data-driven decision making. This is very critical and important. And if these four things are followed, then I believe that the HEIs can foster culture of transformation learning, which we are discussing. Uh, of course, I'm concluding, but we can further discuss, or if there are any questions, we can further discuss things on this. AI is kind of a strategic necessity nowadays, and the integration, it aligns with institutional excellence. Now, what do you mean by institutional excellence? When we say institutional excellence, it's not just the um, having advanced curriculum or not just having the expertise among the faculties, or it's just not that the vision or mission or themes and values are all well aligned, the strategic plan is well aligned. It is also on how operations are handled within the HEI. So that institutional excellence includes a good strategic plan and operational excellence. So when we say operational excellence, then it comes to handling the resources of the HEI. And educational resources is a major part of any HEI. So in educational reforms, HEIs always focus on the resources. It could be human resource, it could be faculty resources, it could be curriculum and related resources. So like I started with the traditional resources, now with AI, we are talking about advanced resources. Now that is very critically aligned. I think identifying the kind of reliable resources is very much important. It helps us to evaluate the, I would say, credibility and quality of the material. And you can look for good resources and review the resources. It could be kind of incorporating the resources in the program's modules level, subjects level, and then it's linked with that. So that strategic advent is very important, and it aligns with institutional excellence. So institution is a successful institution only when it has its clear institutional excellence guidelines, which includes the operational excellence as well. The empowerment of the faculty is also very critical. It's very, I would say, important. The HI should focus on and also help students to adopt AI-driven thinking. So you need to upskill even the students to understand AI-driven thinking or to understand what is happening in the world of AI, how they could play a kind of a crucial role in their learning experience, in their enhancing their learning experience, whether it could be using digital tools, AI tools, or even if they're using traditional material, so they could understand the types or benefits of using these resources. And also, I think They need to understand how to unlock the full potential, their own full potential, to utilize these resources for their own, not only professional growth, not only for scoring well in their examination, but also for the personal growth. So there is so much wealth, I would say, that the students, even the faculties, could explore. So wealth of education resources available, and that all is being driven nowadays with AI. So I would say there should be kind of empowering the faculties and students. They have to adapt to AI. The way the culture itself should be AI driven. That is the emphasis, I would say. And further, I think very important or critical points, for example, or takeaway points, for example, would be how the HEIs have their governance and governance or policy on governance and ethics, how the leadership plays a role in helping the HEIs in smart or AI decision making, and the role of AI in understanding the educational resources and playing like a strategy, understanding inefficiencies, supporting the review or improvisation of the required resources, and then professional development. And of course, lastly, the strategic transformation begins with intelligent data use. So we have lots of data. You have to use this data. The centralized data repository of institution has to be very intelligently utilized for decision making. And this is, I think, very critical. I would say the institutions progress based on their clear strategy. So it should be data-driven strategy. So smartly they can use this data to forecast the demands. And for example, for next 5 years, the strategic plan normally is for 5 years. They understand the strategic plan and how the 5 year requirements or demands are understood or predicted, and identify all the inefficiencies in this plan, and then try to continuously, I would say, improvise it. So that roadmap has to be followed. I think I will end with what HCI use case, for example. There should be kind of practical applications in curriculum. Libraries should be equipped with both traditional as well as advanced or AI-based material. Faculties and course demand planning should be done. And step by step, institutional adoption model has to be taken. And then KPIs will be generated for measuring the effectiveness of now being used AI-driven resource strategy, which will be implemented. This all, I would say, this approach and this alignment really helps the HEIs not only supporting the student success or faculty development, but also in terms of, let's say, accreditation of institution, to get A plus or A plus plus, like a Imperial University has it. So accreditation and quality frameworks, for example, you need to align with QS ranking, so you have a good quality framework, and this is all being achieved. How? Through strategic transformation. You need to use data wisely, and decision making in the higher education institution should all be driven through AI. But of course, not blindly. You need to understand, because of expertise, you need to realize how AI is positively utilized, ethically and positively utilized. There are many, I would say, concerns or challenges in implementing this completely in an institution. So I believe that any institution, if they are focusing so much or so deeper in terms of implementing AI strategy in all of their processes and procedures, then they have to be a little bit kind of more alert, or I would say more definitive on how it will be implemented. Uh, I think from being a reviewer of some panels here, I understand that some institutions, what they're doing is they are adopting it as a major theme of the strategic plan. Like my own institution, we have a theme. We have a clear theme only focused on data-driven institutional management. So it means anything that is decided in the university, let it be from starting a new program or a new award, new program, or a new module, or hire a new faculty, or invest somewhere, or implement some kind of new decision. Everything is decided based on the data driven. So we have a large, let's say 25 years of data, we depend on the data itself. So to make a decision, we depend on the strategic way of using the data and making decisions for the university. So I think that is how I believe the institution's approach, especially towards understanding the educational resources. So I will conclude with a statement that the educational resources in HEIs can be optimized only through a strategic plan and clear allocation um, of the resources based on the data-driven decisions through AI. And these are some of the references, and I think I covered important points which I have, but now I'm open to questions, if any. Are there any questions?
Dear participants, the mic is accessible for all of you. If you have any sort of question regarding the session, please ask. I think I'm audible to all of you. If any participant and any questions, he or she can ask. I
All
think,
right.
sir, the participants, we don't have any questions right now.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So on the behalf of the organizing tech committee, it is my privilege to express our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed resource person, whose enlightening session greatly enriched our understanding of the subject. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for the opportunity again. And thank you to all the organizers, especially Dr. Tasneem. I'm grateful for it. I hope it was useful. Thank you.
Of course, sir. I will say your thanks to Tasneem, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah.